Hurry! Marry Chrysalis. Chapter 1. The Meeting. Evening time arrived at the quiet town of Ponyville, and the last thing that you'd done was board the train to Canterlot, and come back holding a brown bag filled with groceries. You were walking among the citizens on their evening stroll into the town. It had been nearly 6 months since you've made headlines around Equestria, the day that you declared Chrysalis yours during a battle for the fate of Equestria's future. You've been quite active with her, going around cities and attractions and spending romantic nights together. Speaking of Chrysalis, she now resides in your humble one-story house in Ponyville, and prefers not to go out unless she transforms or she's with you. A 3-minute walk was all it took to reach your home and unlock the door with a key in your pocket. "Hey Chrissy, I'm home! Back from the store as I promised!" You called, just standing in the doorframe, connecting the outside and your living room. And there she was, Queen Chrysalis resting on the sofa awaiting her precious one to arrive back from errands. Your first few dates with her were a bit of a hassle, trying to hiss away any mares that even made eye contact with you for the past few days, but now she focused more on her surprising embrace to you hovering to the front door.
Anon, thank goodness you didn't forget about me.
Why would I ever forget about you? Plus I just went out to do some grocery shopping, that's all. You slyly exaggerated a bit. Her big green pupils turned down to see your left fist clamping on a large brown bag by the handle. Curious as ever, she walked up to your left cheek and pecked it with a small kiss. "Oh, you give the best kisses." You cooed back to her. "I'll make dinner soon, but maybe you should wait to feed on my love after I'm done with my meal." She perked her eyes.
I know it's hard for me having to feed on one source of love, and for you too. I just hope that one day I can get my metamorphosis finished.
Letting go of the bag gentle onto the hard wooden floors, you placed the tips of your thumb and index finger right onto her chin, to raise her head towards you. "You don't need to change just for me." She could feel the beats of her heart pounding immensely, and she let out a soft breath of air. Her cheeks showed faint red spots.
I guess that's one way to think about it.
"So not even Thorax could help you get your metamorphosis to activate?" You elaborate further on her situation. She sadly shook her head.
No, I've been trying to share my love to all the changelings, but I can't seem to do it.
You gently brush her mane with your right hand, trying to cheer her up in the process. "Well, we shouldn't worry about it too much. Remember that cheesy newspaper article written about us? Love on the battlefield? Local human and Ponyville resident Anon obtains a peculiar mare friend? Princess Twilight and her companions were in head-to-head combat as they risked their lives saving the fate of Equestria's future against 3 superpowered baddies. Given direct orders from Princess Twilight, Anon attempted to distract one of them in hopes of claiming the artifact that gave them the upper hoof. How? With the most shocking reveal of having prolonged feelings for Queen of the Changelings, Chrysalis. One slap on Celestia's face later, they went dark for a couple of weeks, only to find them in Philadelphia enjoying an ice cream sundae together. Here are some interviews with comments on the bizarre turn of events. Ponyville resident Lyra Heartstrings commented,
Wow, good for them.
The current leader of the Changelings, Thorax, wrote,
Does that make Anon the Changeling King? How does that work?
Current student of the School of Friendship, Sandbar, wrote, All of this sounds heavy, 2 initials are written in nice cursive. PC wrote,
I would have been fine with it, but he didn't have to slap me. Who wrote that junk anyway?
She moped when you reminded her of that horrid article, changing topics.
I'm gonna head out to the Changeling for a while. I need to figure out why I refuse to change myself.
Really? You've been going there every week. Surely you must learn something by now. You resent her for constantly trying to get to transform. Will you just give it up? For me? Chrysalis gave him a peck on the cheek before she transformed into her shutterbug disguise.
Sorry, Anon. If we're gonna be together, I must rid of the form that every creature despises. To prove to them that I've changed for the better.
She trotted out of the door and made her way to the train station, sighing as you laid yourself onto the couch. What if she doesn't change? What's gonna happen to her? The ponies are still afraid of her. Reaching your hand at the brown bag of groceries was a smaller white bag on top of some vegetables. All that's written on the bag was a cursive word like it came from a fancy store from Canterlot. Taking the contents out of the white bag revealed a small black box fitting on the palm of your hand. A peek inside the box, you thought of an idea that would potentially solve her problems with her metamorphosis. This was for our first anniversary, but I might need to pop the question sooner. I need to get some help before I do it. You thought to yourself, keeping a clear head as you placed the box bag into the bag, and locked the doors to your house to visit a dear friend of yours just across the street. Twilight's castle wasn't very far from your home, it was just an easy 20-meter trek. The door opened from the inside, with a concerned-looking Princess Twilight opening the doors for you, and her assistant Spike waiting beside her. Thanks for opening the door, Twi. He gave her a sincere smile, but she turned away feeling a sense of guilt. Is something the matter?
Anon, we were gonna fetch you from your house, but now that you're here, we need to talk about you and Chrysalis.
She murmured the last part of her sentence. You weren't exactly angry at her, just slightly disappointed that she's still yammering in crazy theories that you're being tricked or she placed a spell on you. Even getting completely fed up when she added, "Whatever she's paying you, I'll quadruple it." I'll hear you out. You sighed, keeping your composure as you didn't forget your reason for your visit. I'll have something to tell you too.
Good. Every pony's waiting for us at the table. Spike, please go to the library during the duration of our meeting with Anon.
She ordered the number 1 assistant to go directly to the library, as he nodded and zipped off. What does she mean by every pony? She giving me another intervention? Already 6 months too late, I'm committed to her. Even when she needed to feed on love, I would always give her my love. It drains me like an 800-meter dash, but I tend to bounce back. You thought to yourself. Keeping a grip on the small gift bag as you traversed the long halls of the castle foyer, entering a dining table filled with her friends sitting in each chair. An empty chair was left just on the long end of the table, giving you the chance to sit down with every pony.
Sit down, Anon. We have a lot to say about you.
Twilight ordered you to sit at your designated seat for this strange meeting.
May I ask where Chrysalis is at the moment?
She's at the Changeling Hive trying to solve her issues regarding her metamorphosis. You answer with no hesitations, entwining your fingers on the table.
Good, because this concerns you more than her.
Twilight turned her head to where you were facing alongside the rest of the group, making you a bit worried about this odd behavior.
We all just wanted to say, we're so sorry!
The loud outburst of apologetic voices was enough to embrace your ears for their downfall. But you came to see why you were brought here. Twilight and her friends were a bit cautious and discomforting over your relationship with Chrysalis. Just entering a room together gave them awkward vibes and dread in their minds. You couldn't help but remain silent as more of them addressed their woes.
Please forgive us, Mr. Anon, for our unforgivable behavior that we unfortunately gave you, and the unforgivable behavior that we've unfortunately gave to Chrysalis. You have to forgive us!
Dramatic tears and runny makeup streaked over Rarity's cheeks as she plopped down onto the floor and sobbed vigorously as she held a record player playing a sad tune. Fluttershy was next to share her feelings, keeping the same teary expression as Rarity's.
I just can't believe I too got this over my head and internally hurt you. I'm sorry. It ain't who you chose that made us disappointed, it was the fact that all of us didn't respect your choices in the matter.
Applejack played out the harsh truth bombs, hiding the tears below her hat.
We shouldn't judge your decisions of true love. I should know that coming from my parents.
After her was Pinky's turn, mysteriously pulling out a large sheet cake covered in pink frosting and sprinkles out of her back, and laid it flat on the table.
Please accept the super sorry apologetic super cake that I made with extra cream, sugar frosting, sprinkles, and my tears.
I was cool with it, blurted Rainbow Dash, doing seemingly alright as she leaned herself on the table.
You pretty much distracted her indeed.
All of the feelings of relief, laughter, and happiness blended up in a flavorful smoothie when you started bursting from your seat. Containing all your laughs as the girl's forecast of tears came to a halt, you started to take a breather. Well, I believe I should be the one apologizing. I kept my feelings for her a secret from all of you because I was ashamed that it would never work out. The girls reached a point where they felt relieved by her caring nature, all wiping off the tears with tissue boxes prepared by Twilight. To which you noticed the white bag on the table on your right side as you turned over attention to it.
Anon? What's in that bag over there? A gift for Chrysalis?
Maneuvering her foreleg to point at the bag gave attention to the rest of the girls. He dug through the bag resting on the table to reveal its contents. It's more than just a gift for Chrysalis. I made sure to save up all of my bits for this. The girls saw your digits clawing out the small box and placing it in the palm of their hands. Rarity was more intrigued by the brand name labeled on the bag.
My Anon, you went all out for her.
Ah, so you do recognize the brand, Rarity. You gently grabbed the bag and pointed it at the table. I think it's some French word, so I don't know what it means.
I do not know who this French is, but that's the word meaning love in French.
She carefully explained to the group.
That's poor Princess Cadence's full name. Mia Mori Cadenza, actually.
Oh, so that's why it sounds so familiar to me.
Yeah. Princess Cadence does have a brand of fancy jewelry named after her. Most of the stuff there is super expensive. We're talking about 5 figures.
Twilight explained a rough estimate on the cost of the ring.
Hang on a moment. If I remember correctly...
You never saw Rarity thinking with her noggin before, only when she's deciding on a dress fabric or color. Finishing her last thoughts as she remembered the line of jewelry.
Oh, the theme this season is marriage and... proposals.
Just as Rarity finished her last line of thought, the room was filled with the utmost silence as every creature in the room stopped all functions of life and movement. Yep, I'm gonna propose to Chrysalis. Your confident tone wasn't helping when they all remained dumbfounded. Carefully placing yourself down onto the seat, the door on the center left side of you slammed open, revealing Starlight Glimmer holding a scoop of strawberry ice cream with her magic. She took another look of ice cream before she broke the silence.
Hey girls, what'd I miss?
Twilight and the other girls struggled to turn their necks to the clueless unicorn, acting like statues coming alive and finally shrieking.
Anon is going to propose to Queen Chrysalis. Oh, how wonderful of you. I support you 100%.
She graciously smiled back at you and teleported out of sight. The room filled with incomprehensible screaming and ambience when an outburst arose from revealing a gorgeous diamond ring inside the black box. Twilight, the first one to speak out, kept hyperventilating with each word that she spoke.
Marriage? Are you really? That's insane! Already, it hasn't even been a year!
Rarity exclaimed, throwing out the record player that she held from an open window. Next in line was Fluttershy, keeping a calm head in all this.
Hold on there, Anon. Don't do anything that you'll regret later. Marriage is a serious commitment that requires long thinking and planning.
Yes, I've thought of it and planned it. You nodded, keeping a big smile at her.
I prefer the cake to be chocolate,
Shouted Rainbow Dash from the distance.
Whoa there, fella. Don't make this another royal wedding incident.
Warned Applejack.
Cadence might start gunning for—
Alright, that's enough! Raising your two hands between your mouth to reverberate your voice alongside the table, the pony seemed to hush and paid all attention to you. Yes, I'm gonna do it sooner than I've expected, but I'm going 100% into this. You all should be proud of me. I've planned this since the day I've met her.
The day that you met her was also the time that she cocooned us all in her freaky hive.
Shouted Pinkie Pie, face all covered in the cake that she made. You were relentless in trying to save this whole explosion of roars. I mean, she said that she was sorry and it worked out in the long run for me. Attempting to simmer down the ruckus roaring in the room was simpler than Twilight though, as most of them complied with her voice of authority.
Every pony listen up!
The room now lay silent as ever, still seeing the tension in everyone's eyes. You were obligated to stay quiet on this one to hear her out.
We all agree that Anon is insane in marrying Chrysalis of all creatures, but we need to believe in her. This could be the start of their wonderful life together. Perhaps maybe she could finally share the love that she's been storing and finally get her metamorphosis done.
Well, if it'll make her the happiest changing ever, I'll do it for her. You followed up on Twilight's encouraging speech. I know she hurt you all in the past, but I thought that you five out of all the populace would be the most forgiving. The vast sea of frowns filled the room, and the dead silence returned. Everything that Twilight had spoken about was all true, and their hatred towards Chrysalis made them no better than her old self. The girls, now having a fiery look of determination in their eyes, stopped their nonsensical behavior and nodded.
Twilight is right. We need to feel proud for them.
Exclaimed Fluttershy, seeing herself in Anon's shoes.
It's no different than me in Discord.
Maybe we should save money and book a double wedding, he jokingly suggested, making her a bit embarrassed by that train of thought.
So Anon, how do you plan on popping the question? Do you have something special planned?
Asked the Princess of Friendship, to which you responded with a shrug. That's why I came to you. I don't know how, when, or where I'm gonna ask her. The girls turned to panic mode, getting off of their seats and crowding you like you had full-size candy bars on Nightmare Night. Rainbow Dash was the first one to offer her help, as she raised her hoof in the air.
I've got the most awesome setup for proposing to some pony. Let me get the Wonderballs too. No way! Anon doesn't need some over-the-top gesture. He needs some more calm and focusing, like a fancy restaurant in the glistening moonlights, where the ring is hidden inside of a dessert while she'll be ecstatic by the surprise.
Suggested Rarity, daydreaming of her whole fantasy.
That's too cliche, Rarity.
Twilight criticized her suggestion, popping up various papers and scrolls from her magic.
I've crafted the most foolproof way to strategically plan out a romantic date lasting approximately 6 hours, followed by a schedule of multiple date spots in Equestria to maximize the— Oh, just throw her super duper mega party of her whole life!
Interrupted Pinkie Pie, throwing streamers everywhere out of nowhere.
Give her the ring when she's throwing it down on the dance floor. Don't listen to them, just talk out your feelings while you both are alone, like in the park.
Fluttershy, with the most sensible plan from the five, muttered.
Do it in Sweet Apple Acres. My family take care of everything that you need for your big commitment.
Offered up Applejack. Overwhelmed by the assault of suggestions from the table, you came to a rough conclusion as you simmered down the room. I'm pretty much open for anything, so I'll just have to try out everyone's ideas. Sound good?
Yes!
The girls shouted in unison. After a few minutes, you left the castle only to have your heart beating like an engine. You're gonna ask her the big question in a matter of a few days. Quivering back home, you mentally prepared for what to say to her, putting all your hope on Twilight and your friends. As they all said their goodbyes for the day, Twilight walked over to her library, seeing Spike from one of his comic books. Sup, Twilight? How was the meeting? He asked Twilight, still focusing on his reading.
I'm gonna need you to write a letter for Princess Cadence. Maybe she's the one to help with Anon's proposal to Queen Chrysalis.
Spike gasped at the shocking news by Twilight. Oh, already? I know that he's in deep love with her, but I didn't think he was committed. He brought out a quill pen, dipped the tip of it with ink, and brought out a fresh sheet of parchment as Twilight recited what was to be sent to Princess Cadence.
Dear Princess Cadence, I have wonderful news about Anon and Chrysalis. He wants to propose to her and get married as soon as possible. He even bought a ring at your star and candlelots. We were shocked at the news, and you might be too. I hope they can help Anon propose to Chrysalis very soon, so that they may live a wonderful life together. From your precious sister-in-law, Twilight Sparkle. P.S. Don't still be mad at her for ruining the happiest day of your life. I know you won't be the mare to plot revenge on some pony.
Never thought there'd be a continuation of this story, but hell, it's real good to see the author still kicking. Anywho, let's get on to our romantic donators. Top donators are 630, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, Darkside, and Only One Thing. TacoCat598, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Rollins, CrazyKiller557, Stu Hex, Will, Omicron Lyre, Chris, Twinkie, Dospo, Delta Omega, Jack Hadge, RuneScythe9852, Madman Stan, Lizzie Perkett, Drake Lovedragon, Hunter Norman, Stephen Bingham, LineGuy12, Sorcerer Constantine, Hudzaza, Conver, and many more fantastic people. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.